Hi, my name is Anthony Barger, and I am the Archivist at the Putnam County Public Library located in Greencastle, Indiana, and today we're going to do a tutorial on the Hoosier State Chronicles. Now, as you can see on the About page, the Hoosier State Chronicles is operated by the Indiana State Library, and what they've done is they have provided a free online access to anyone who wants to search through thousands of Indiana's historic newspapers. Now, there are two things I want to accomplish in this tutorial. One is I want to show you how to use most of the features. Not all of them, but certainly most of them. And second, and possibly more importantly, I hope this tutorial makes it where this is one of your regular tools as you research our state's rich history. So with that, let's get going. Okay, so here we are at my desktop with Captain America beating the bad guys. And what we want to do is simply go to your favorite browser. I'm going to use Google. And I'm going to type in Hoosier State Chronicles. And click on Hoosier State Chronicles as the results. And there you go. We're at the web page. Now, what we want to look at for today's tutorial is up here on the top right. And the features that I'm most concerned about are this list of home, search, titles, dates, counties, and so on. But I did want to point out before we got started, you may notice that there's a register and login. And that implies that you need to register and log in order to use this site, but you don't. That is for an entirely different feature, which I'm willing to do a second tutorial on. But for right now, just to let you know, you can use this website to its fullest without registering or logging in. This is absolutely free to the public. It's a great service. So the first thing, let's just talk about home. Home is exactly what it says. It's going to bring us right back to what we're looking at. So if I were to click it, not much would change. It just kind of refreshes the page. So at any point when you're doing your research and you want to stop where you are and you just want to get back to the beginning, click on home. And it's just a great starting point again. Just pointing that out. The second feature is search. This is a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to skip this for now and talk about it a little bit later in this tutorial. So the next feature is titles. It's exactly what you think it means. It's the titles of all the Indiana historical newspapers that the Hoosier State Chronicles has made available. It's quite a few. I'm scrolling down, and as you can see, it's pretty robust. It has a lot of newspapers. And it just coincidentally, one of Putnam County's newspapers shows it first, the banner graphic. And it tells you where it was published and what time period. Not a whole lot of years for the banner graphic, just 1973 to 1974. If we were to scroll down, we're going to see, where's one for instance? Here we go. Down here by my mouse, the daily Greencastle Banner and Times, 1890 to 1897. But let's go back to the top and click on the banner graphic. So you'll see that it does indeed cover 2 years, 1973 to 1974. And interestingly, for 1973, you'll see January and February is grayed out. That means that is not available. I don't know why, but they just simply did not have that digitized and made available to the public. But everything else is darkened, and that means that there's something to be seen there. So let's say that we are interested in March of 1973. Let's go ahead and click on that. And there you go. Now we have each issue of that particular month. I will also point out you have some other tools here. Where I'm clicking now back to the year list, so to where we were previous. You can do the previous month and then the next month if you wish. But we want March 1973, and let's say we're particularly interested in March 1st. Click on the banner graphic, and it's going to take us right to the newspaper. So there you have it. You can see and read the newspaper. When you hover over it, it gets dark, just to kind of let you know where you are. And how I like to move about on this particular screen is I like to left click and drag, and that gets me through all the newspapers. That's how I like to do this. Another way that you can do it, though, if you've noticed over here to the left, it has pages 1 through 12. And you can simply click on the page that you think you might be interested in. You can navigate this way. So let's say we want to just jump to page 8. It takes us, it centers the page, and it even shows some text here on the left side. But it centers the page that we're interested in, and there you have it. Now, this is impossible to read. So how do you read it? Well, one way that you do it is, I use the wheel on my mouse, but there's two ways to zoom in and out. But for the wheel on the mouse, I just zoom in, scroll in, and it starts zooming in for that page, and I can read it, as if it were a real newspaper. Over here on the right, you'll see that there's 3 icons. One is to clip. We'll talk about that later. Zoom in and zoom out. So say I wanted to zoom out on this page, I could do that. I could keep doing that. And I can also just zoom pretty far in. So, powerful feature. Another feature that I think I'll point out at this time, which I might point out several times as we're going through this, but sometimes, but not for all the newspapers, sometimes Hoosier State Chronicles makes the newspaper available in the form of a PDF file. And this, and you're going to usually find it in the upper right corner. And so here it is. If you left click it, and then look to the bottom left of the screen, you're going to see that this newspaper is downloading. And if you have a PDF reader on your computer, once it's downloaded, you can open it up and look at the newspaper, almost like a digital book. It's a very powerful feature, and this is actually downloaded on my computer. I now possess this PDF. I don't have to go back to Hoosier State Chronicles anymore if I don't want to. Very generous of Hoosier State Chronicles to make this available. Let's just click out of this for now, though. But just letting you know that that is an option for you. If there's a particular newspaper that you're interested in, you might have that option in order to save it to your computer and use it for your research later on. I think that does it for titles. Let's move on to dates. So we find ourselves back at the home page again. And rather than searching by titles this time, maybe you would rather search by a very specific date. And I do use this feature often. So I like to just go to dates, click on that, and that shows us all the years that the Hoosier State Chronicles has some of their newspapers represented by year and month. So let's say we're interested in 1896. Let's scroll and see what we find. Let's say that we're interested in April of 1896. Let's click on that. Okay, so here we are, April 1896, and actually one of our newspapers is regularly featured in during this month and year. April 1st, for instance, Greencastle Banner and Times is available. So let's go ahead and just click on that and see what we have to see. And here you go. It jumps to very similar results that we saw before when we were looking at titles. Here, only 4 pages, however. And click on, let's say we want to look at the first page, and we can go ahead and just zoom on in and read that page rather. So there you go. It's a very similar, almost identical situation that we were in with titles. And again, that PDF over here on the top right is available if you want to download this particular newspaper. And I think that's enough for that. It's that simple. So now let's go to counties. Okay, so we're back at the home page. I always think that's a great place to start for each section that we're going through. And let's go ahead and click on counties like we said. And it will show a list of the various counties of Indiana. And if you know Indiana, we have 92 counties, and there's no way that there's 92 counties represented in this list. However, ours is. So let's go find Putnam County. Click on that. It keeps our list, but it now is adding the various newspapers that are representative on Hoosier State Chronicles. And let's look at the Star Democrat today. Click on that. So 1906 to 1913 with some of the dates grayed out, meaning, again, we can't use these, but it looks very similar, doesn't it, to the dates when we're looking at dates. So nothing terribly new here. Let's just pick 1908. Let's just do July of that year. And it looks like this particular newspaper only published that year on Fridays. Let's just go ahead and click on the 10th, and we're going to see something that we've already seen several times. And it's going to load, and it's going to show our newspapers. So there we are. We know where we are. We know what we're doing. We have 8 pages here that we can navigate, and so on and so forth. Same features to zoom in and out, and we're good. Now, again, I want to show one other small feature just as a side note. This paper also can be downloaded as a PDF, and I wanted to show this earlier. I think this is a good time to do it. You'll notice the name of the file is SD 1908-0710. Very well named. It's the Star Democrat SD 1908, the year, the month, and that day. Just a great way to name, an intuitive way to name the file. So I rarely rename my files once I download them. Just wanting to point that out to you. So if you find yourself saving a lot of these PDFs onto your computer, just take a note of how they're named, and that will be a good reminder of how to organize and keep everything straight. Again, good job with Hoosier State Chronicles, right? Okay, let's move on to the next step. Okay, we're at the home page, and we're now ready to delve into the search feature of this. So let's left click on search. And this is the simple search. This is as simple as it gets. All you have to do is click into the search the collection and type in whatever it is that you want to type in. And when I did left click into that, you'll see that a little drop down menu came up with the name Pearl Bryan. And that's because I had looked at this earlier. And rather than retype Pearl Bryan in again, because that's what I want to work with today, you can simply hover down over it. Sometimes you'll have a whole list of previous searches, but in this case I only have one. And I'm going to left click on that, and it's going to populate that bar, and I'm going to come over, hit our search icon, and the page is going to populate with quite a few results. We're going to get 9,232 results, and we need to take note of that. But for right now, let's just see. Let's take a look at what we're looking at. So we have the paper that it appears in, the date, and then down below is what I refer to as a teaser. It has the words around. It has words around the term that you had typed in, the word or term that you had typed in. And that kind of gives you, as a researcher, an indication of, do I want to click on this and open it up? Is this the correct Pearl Bryan that I'm interested in? And in this case, it is. So let's go ahead. Well, actually, let's take a note here. Over here, it also shows you publications that this term appears in. You have the Indianapolis News, Indianapolis Journal, so on and so forth. And then even down here, it will say 89 more, right? And then you have category, decade, tag, and word count, just to augment your ability to search a little bit more finely. But let's go ahead and click on this page 4. And it's going to take us straight to page 4 of that newspaper where Pearl Bryan's name appears. And not only does it do that, it highlights it in yellow. That's really great, right? It really helps the researcher focus in on exactly where they need to be reading. A huge time saver for those of us who have done it old school with microfilm. Okay, so let's just stop for a moment because I wanted to show you one other feature that I had mentioned earlier. Over here to the right, where we had been using our zoom and our zoom in and zoom out, there's the little scissor icon, and I want to click on that because what this is a clipping tool that you can use to just clip whatever you see on the page. So we're going to left click on that, and it's going to make a crosshair. There you see it. Now let's say I just simply want to get the title of this article. What I'm going to do is left click, drag, holding the button down, and then I'm going to let it go. And intuitively there will be a check mark, and an X mark. So you'll know that, yes, I like this. No, cancel it out. I don't like what I did. So let's say I do like it. Click on that, and it saves it. So I can print this out at a later date. Great. All right, that's a great feature. So let's go back. I just wanted to show you that clipping feature because if you're doing a full day's research, things get out of control really quickly. You won't remember the newspapers. And also, you'll note that in this particular paper, there's no PDF up here on the top right corner to download and save. So that's a great, again, just a great feature that Hoosier State Chronicles has. So let's take a step back. Okay, so now I want to go back to search, and I want to show you the advanced search feature. Okay, so here we are with the simple search, and let's make it the advanced search. You just go over to the right here, and you click on this advanced search icon, and it's still what you were looking at. It's the same thing with some added features. You can now limit your search by date, which I use all the time. You can limit your search by title, which I use pretty regularly as well. And you can also search within the text, article headlines, comments, tags, as well as search summaries. So it's not intimidating, is the point I'm really making. You simply have more tools to refine your search, which is a great thing for researchers. So let's go ahead and click the search, the collection like we did before. And just like in the simple search, Pearl Bryan's name appears, a drop down, and we're going to click on that. And Pearl Bryan was murdered in 1896. So let's say I'm interested in looking at all newspapers, but just in the year 1896. I don't need to worry about the day, though I could take it down to the day or the month, but I can take it to the year, which is what we want to do. So 1896, if I can get to that quickly. Do it again, because that will help you go from January 1st to December 31st of that year without having to type that in here, though you could. And you're ready to go ahead and hit search. And we're going to get quite a few less responses. Sure enough, we get 1,490. I think the previous was like 9,232 or something. So while you're getting fewer searches, or fewer results rather, it's actually, in this case, less is more, right? And you can still click by publication, or search by publications. You'll see there's fewer papers to, I think it was 89 was the last one. Now we only have 12 more papers. And category, decade, tag, and word count, I didn't really take notice of those before. So that's a great thing. And if you were to click on, it's the same results that we had. It's not, well, in this case, it is the same result, but it's the same feature. Nothing's changed. So again, just really stressing that the advanced search isn't intimidating. It's just really helps researchers refine their searches better. Now, that's it for the advanced search. And that's it for the basics of searching a topic. But before we ended, I wanted to show one more thing that had to do with the help feature in this. Okay, so we're back to where we were just before we hit search for Pearl Bryan using the advanced search feature. Now, I wanted to go over and click on the help again and remind you that you can always go to this help display. And I want to really quickly look at the advanced query syntax. We're not going to go over everything here, but one of the things that this will show you, I'm going to show you now because I use it pretty regularly, and this will illustrate again why you want to use this help feature. So let's clear this out, and let's go back to Pearl Bryan and click within the search bar. Now, what's happening when Hoosier State Chronicles looks at Pearl Bryan, it doesn't look for the two words together. It may, but what it's really doing is it's looking at all the times that the name Pearl appears, or the word Pearl appears in Indiana Indiana's newspapers in 1896, and every time the name Bryan appears in the newspapers in 1896. So if you really wanted to refine your search, put quotes around it. And what that does is it locks it in and says, I'm only going to look for when Pearl and Bryan appear side by side. And we should get quite a few less results by doing this. Again, that's a good thing. Let's see what happens. So here we get down to 843 Pearl Bryans. And as we scroll down, you'll see that every single one of these is Pearl Bryan, Pearl Bryan, Pearl Bryan. It should never be any difference. Let's go to almost the end. Let's go to the middle part of this. Not the middle part, but further in. Here you have a Pearl Bryan. It was smart enough to still keep you with that. And so this is really great. This really helps refine my search even more. So again, just reiterating that it's really important that you go and read that help page because it's going to help you as a researcher not spend hours and hours and hours clicking on unnecessary newspaper results. Okay, I think that concludes this tutorial for how to use the Hoosier State Chronicles. Again, it's not every single thing, but this should be a good start for you, a very good start. And if you have any questions, if I don't post my email below, which I'm hoping I can do in post-production of this video, please feel free to contact me. It's a great way to get a hold of me. And if you can't find me that way, simply visit the Putnam County Public Library's website, and you'll find how to contact me in the Archives Department page, and my email will be there, and you can contact me via email that way. So thanks very much for your patience, and I hope this was helpful. Have a good day. Bye.